Have you ever felt trapped by your own thoughts? Like your mind is the biggest obstacle standing between you and a calm, purposeful life? What if the key to overcoming life's challenges isn't changing the world around you, but mastering what's inside your head? If that sounds like something you want to explore, make sure to subscribe and join this journey of transforming your mindset with timeless wisdom and practical tools. Today, we dive into how Stoicism, a philosophy that stood the test of centuries, can help you take control of your mind, regulate your emotions, and build resilience in a chaotic world. 1. The real enemy is inside your mind. We live in a world full of distractions, pressures, and unpredictable events. When something goes wrong, it's easy and often tempting to blame the external world. The traffic jam that made us late, the rude colleague who ruined our mood, the unlucky break that derailed our plans. But when we pause long enough to look deeper, we realize the biggest obstacle to our peace and clarity doesn't come from outside. It comes from within. Our minds, with all their fears, judgments, and reactive tendencies, are the true battlefield. Most of our suffering begins not with the event itself, but with the story we tell ourselves about it. Stoic philosophy holds up a mirror to this inner struggle. Thinkers like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus warned us not to be fooled by appearances. They understood something modern neuroscience now confirms. Our brains are wired with biases, shortcuts, and emotional reflexes that often lead us astray. We jump to conclusions. We misinterpret tone. We catastrophize minor setbacks. These reactions may have once helped our ancestors survive, but today they create unnecessary stress and conflict. What the Stoics urge us to do is to stop and look inward. Before we point the finger at the world, we should examine how our own thinking contributes to our distress. This is not about blame, it's about ownership. When you begin to see how much of your experience is shaped by your own perspective, you start to reclaim control. A delay doesn't have to mean frustration. A critical comment doesn't have to wound your self-worth. These are interpretations, not facts. The real enemy is not the thing that happens, but the unchecked thoughts that follow. In this sense, your mind can be both your jailer and your liberator. Left on autopilot, it reacts out of habit. But trained and observed, it can become your greatest ally. How do we do this? The Stoics practiced daily reflection. They examined their thoughts and emotions, asking, is this reaction helping me? Is it based on truth or assumption? Is it leading me closer to wisdom or further into chaos? By interrupting the pattern, they created space between stimulus and response, a space where choice lives. And that space is where freedom begins. You're not your anger. You're not your fear. You're the observer behind them, capable of choosing a different way. Of course, this isn't easy. The mind resists change. It clings to old narratives and familiar fears. But like any discipline, awareness strengthens with practice. Journaling, meditation, or simply taking a few deep breaths before reacting, all of these are tools for reclaiming that inner space. Over time, you begin to notice the tricks your mind plays. You see how quickly it invents stories, judges others, or imagines worst-case scenarios. And with that recognition comes power, not the loud kind that controls others, but the quiet strength that governs yourself. In the end, the Stoics weren't trying to make us emotionless. They were trying to help us become rational, reflective, and resilient. They knew the world would always be full of challenges, but they believed that with the right mindset, we could face them with clarity. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, remember, the real enemy isn't the problem. It's how your mind is choosing to frame it. Master your thoughts, and you master your life. 2. Control versus influence, the Stoic divide. In a chaotic world, One of the most liberating realizations is this: we don't control everything. In fact, we control very little. The weather, the economy, the behavior of others, the outcomes of our efforts, these are all largely beyond our grasp. And yet, so much of our suffering comes from trying to control what we can't. We exhaust ourselves trying to fix people, predict the future, or avoid every possible failure. Stoicism teaches us a crucial distinction that changes everything. Some things are within our control and some are not, and peace begins the moment we stop trying to control the uncontrollable. This is the core of what Epictetus called the dichotomy of control. It may sound simple, but applying it is life-changing. What is in our control? Our thoughts, our beliefs, our decisions, and our actions. These are the domains where our effort has meaning and impact. What is not in our control? Everything else. The opinions of others, the passage of time, outcomes, accidents, and external events. The key, the Stoics argued, is to pour your energy into the first category and to accept the second with equanimity. When you live this way, you become both calmer and more effective. Imagine being able to walk into a tense meeting without needing everyone to like you. You simply do your best. Communicate clearly, act with integrity, and let go of the rest. Or imagine training for a goal, whether fitness, business, or a personal challenge, and focusing fully on the process instead of obsessing over results. You take ownership of your effort, not the outcome. This is the Stoic mindset: proactive, focused, and emotionally disciplined. Many people misunderstand this idea. They hear "accept what you can't control" and think it means giving up or being passive. But it's actually the opposite. It's a call to strategic engagement. You engage with life fully but wisely. You stop wasting energy on resentment, blame, or fear of the unknown. You shift from reacting to responding, from trying to manipulate others to mastering yourself. It's not about shrinking back, it's about stepping forward with clarity. Here's the deeper truth. When you stop trying to control others, you free yourself. You stop tying your happiness to their behavior. You stop living in constant disappointment or frustration. Instead, you focus on what you can do. Set boundaries, speak honestly, live according to your values. That is real power, not the illusion of control, but the quiet confidence of self-mastery. Practicing this requires daily effort. It starts with awareness, catching yourself when you're slipping into worry or trying to micromanage. Then it takes a mental shift, reminding yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is yes, act. If it's no, let it go. Over time, this becomes a habit. You begin to waste less energy, recover faster from setbacks, and stay grounded even in chaos. You develop a sense of inner stability that doesn't rise and fall with circumstances. In the end, the Stoic divide between control and influence isn't just a philosophy, it's a practical blueprint for emotional resilience. It teaches you to focus your efforts like a laser, while accepting the winds of life like a sail. You act with intention, but you release attachment to results. This is how calmness and strength grow side by side. So the next time life throws something unexpected your way, ask yourself, what part of this can I influence? What part must I accept? That one question can be the difference between anxiety and peace. 3. Emotional regulation through reframing. Have you noticed how two people can experience the same event but feel very differently about it? One person might be devastated after losing a job, while another sees it as a fresh opportunity for reinvention. That's because it's not the event itself that causes our emotional reactions, it's how we interpret it. This idea is at the heart of Stoic emotional regulation. We are not disturbed by things, but by our view of things. Epictetus, a key Stoic philosopher, stated this clearly, and it remains one of the most practical insights from ancient wisdom. Stoicism invites us to become conscious participants in our inner world, to challenge the automatic narratives we attach to events. When something goes wrong, our instinct might be to complain or despair. But Stoicism offers an alternative path: reframing. Instead of seeing setbacks as catastrophes, we train our minds to view them as challenges to overcome, or as necessary events in the unfolding story of our growth. This subtle mental shift, choosing to see an obstacle as an opportunity, reduces emotional upheaval and fosters clarity. Modern psychology supports this Stoic approach. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, one of the most effective therapeutic methods, is rooted in the same principle. Change your thoughts, and you change your emotions. When we reframe how we see a situation, we alter our emotional response. We become less reactive, more thoughtful, and more in control. For example, instead of thinking, "I failed because I'm not good enough," we can think, "This didn't work out, but I learned something valuable for next time." This reframed interpretation promotes resilience instead of self-pity. Reframing is not about lying to ourselves or denying difficult emotions. It's about creating a healthier relationship with those emotions by adjusting our perspective. When you can look at criticism as feedback instead of a personal attack, you grow. When you can see rejection as redirection, you keep moving forward. When you can recognize pain as a teacher, not a punishment, you deepen your strength. Reframing does not eliminate difficulty, but it empowers you to rise above it. Stoics knew that life would test us. They didn't believe in avoiding hardship. They believed in meeting it with the right mindset. Marcus Aurelius, writing in his personal journal, reminded himself daily that he would encounter rude, selfish, or irrational people. But instead of letting this frustrate him, he reframed it as a chance to practice patience, forgiveness, and understanding. This mental preparation helped him stay calm in moments that would unravel most people. In your own life, practice catching your thoughts before they carry you away. When something frustrating happens, a missed opportunity, a traffic jam, a harsh comment, pause and ask yourself, is there another way to see this? Could this be a chance to grow, to learn, to become less reactive and more composed? The more you practice reframing, the more power you gain over your emotional life. Ultimately, reframing is about reclaiming your agency. Life is unpredictable. People will disappoint you. Plans will fall apart. But your mind, your ability to choose how to see and respond, remains your own. With practice, you become less at the mercy of events and more anchored in inner stability. This is emotional regulation at its core, not bottling emotions but shaping them with reason, perspective, and purpose. 4. Mental habits that hold you back. Our minds are filled with patterns, some deliberate, some automatic. These patterns form the lens through which we see the world. Unfortunately, many of these mental habits are unhelpful. Negative self-talk, rumination, catastrophizing, and cognitive distortions are just a few examples of the mental traps that hold us back. These habits can make a small mistake feel like a failure, a minor rejection feel like a crisis, or a temporary setback feel like the end of the road. Psychological research confirms what ancient Stoics observed. Unchecked mental habits have real consequences. When we constantly rehearse negative thoughts, we strengthen neural pathways that make anxiety, depression, and insecurity more likely. Our brains begin to operate from a baseline of fear or self-doubt. And yet, because these habits are often unconscious, we don't realize how deeply they affect our behavior, decisions, and relationships. The first step toward freedom is awareness. Stoicism teaches us to observe our thoughts objectively, almost like an outsider. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to watch the mind. This practice of self-observation allows us to catch our thoughts in action. For example, when you find yourself thinking, "I always mess things up," you can pause and examine that belief. Is it really true? Always? Or is this just a mental reflex that you've never questioned? By becoming aware of these automatic traps, we create space to intervene. We begin to see that not all thoughts are facts. Not every worry is worth attention. Not every emotion needs to dictate our actions. Stoic philosophy doesn't ask us to suppress thoughts. It invites us to question them. Why do we assume the worst? Why do we talk to ourselves in ways we'd never talk to a friend? These are powerful questions that reveal how much our thinking is shaped by habit rather than truth. Stoic practices offer tools to reshape these habits. One technique is journaling, writing down your thoughts and analyzing them rationally. Another is practicing detachment, noticing a thought without immediately reacting to it. When you hear your inner critic say, "You're not good enough," you can respond with curiosity instead of shame. Why do I believe that? What evidence do I have to support or reject this claim? Over time, this process weakens the grip of destructive thought patterns. Another key Stoic insight is the importance of focusing only on what is within your control. So much anxiety comes from trying to predict or manipulate things we can't change. But if you consistently redirect your focus to your own behavior, your own responses, and your own mindset, you build mental strength. You train yourself to stop spiraling into worry about what others think or whether outcomes will be perfect. You return to what you can control: effort, intention, character. Ultimately, these harmful mental habits are like weights we carry without realizing it. They slow us down, make life harder, and sap our confidence. But once you become aware of them, you can begin to put them down. You can build a mind that is lighter, clearer, and stronger. And you can begin to live from a place of intention rather than habit. That's the gift of Stoic psychology. It frees you from your own worst patterns and gives you back your power. 5. Practical Stoic exercises to transform your mind. Stoicism isn't a philosophy for armchairs. It's a practice designed for the real world. Its power lies not in abstract ideas, but in consistent actions that shape how we think, feel, and live. If you want to build a calmer, stronger, more focused mind, theory isn't enough. You need exercises, daily disciplines, mental training that transforms insight into habit. Fortunately, the Stoics left us with a toolbox of such practices. One of the most effective Stoic tools is journaling. This simple act of writing out your thoughts each day helps you observe your emotional responses, question your assumptions, and reflect on your behavior. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations was his personal journal, a private space where he reminded himself of Stoic truths, questioned his impulses, and refined his character. You can do the same. Ask yourself, what did I do well today? Where did I react emotionally? What can I learn for tomorrow? Over time, journaling sharpens self-awareness and deepens emotional control. Another powerful exercise is premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. This involves imagining potential hardships in advance: failure, loss, rejection, even death. At first glance, this sounds pessimistic, but it's the opposite. By visualizing difficulties, you prepare your mind to meet them calmly. You reduce the shock factor. You accept that adversity is part of life, and in doing so, you become more resilient. When the hardship comes, and it will, you won't be paralyzed. You'll be ready. Related to this is the exercise of negative visualization. This means deliberately contemplating the loss of things you take for granted: your job, your health, your loved ones. It's not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. When you vividly imagine life without these things, you feel more grateful for them in the present. Gratitude grows. Entitlement fades. You stop overlooking your blessings and start appreciating them more deeply. This reduces anxiety and enhances well-being. Another essential Stoic practice is value reflection, taking time to define what kind of person you want to be. Instead of chasing superficial success or external validation, you focus on your inner virtues: courage, wisdom, justice, and self-discipline. By aligning your actions with your values, you live with integrity. When temptations or distractions arise, you have a compass. This daily alignment reduces confusion and regret, allowing you to move through life with direction. You can also practice voluntary discomfort, deliberately doing without comfort to strengthen your tolerance. Seneca would fast, wear rough clothing, or sleep on the floor just to remind himself that he could endure hardship. In a world obsessed with comfort, this practice builds real strength. You realize you don't need as much as you think. You become less reactive to stress, more grounded and more appreciative of what you have. Taken together, these exercises form a daily training program for the mind. Like physical fitness, mental strength requires repetition. You won't master emotional regulation in a day, but with consistent practice, you'll notice change. You'll be less shaken by difficulty, more focused, more peaceful. Stoicism isn't about being perfect, it's about being prepared. These practices prepare you to meet life with calm, clarity, and quiet power. The insights of Stoicism echo modern psychology and cognitive therapy, showing that mastering your thoughts isn't just philosophy. It's science-backed self-improvement. By adopting Stoic mindset habits, you're not only building emotional strength, but unlocking creativity, focus, and better decision-making. If you found this valuable, don't forget to subscribe for more practical wisdom that empowers your inner journey. Remember, the greatest power you have is over your own mind. Start mastering it today.